Conversations about relationships and gender roles in Jamaica are everywhere right now, but they always miss one critical part of the picture: the pressures that men are carrying. In Jamaican culture, masculinity has long been rooted in tradition. Men should be strong providers and protectors without much room for vulnerability or support. At the same time, the data tells a sobering story. Roughly 80% of suicides in Jamaica are committed by men, pointing to deep challenges around isolation, silence, and how men are taught to cope. Many men today are also navigating growing financial pressure, expected to provide and succeed in an increasingly uncertain economy, often without the emotional or social support to match these expectations. Research and commentary in Jamaica have increasingly highlighted male loneliness as an emerging issue across the nation. Today on Common Ground, we're talking honestly about what it means to be a man in Jamaica today, the pressures, the expectations, and how all of that shows up in relationships. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. Let's find common ground. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined today by Courtney, who many of you I'm sure have seen online on social media, always talking about, the perspectives from talking about the issues from the male perspective, rather. Courtney, it's so good to have you on.
So it's so good to be here.
So I'm going to jump right into it, right? On social media, we're always seeing this talk about high value men or the dominant man, etc. Yeah. What do these terms actually mean, and what does it mean today to be a man in Jamaica?
All right, so the high value man, in its traditional meaning, is a man that can provide for himself and his family an experience above what the average man can provide. Mm-hmm. But we see of late that every man wants this coveted title, right, even when they're not deserving of it. So you'll hear it overused today. Being a man in Jamaica, I mean, that kind of broad.
Very broad.
Yeah, so let me break it down to being a good man. And I think being a good man, this definition would be spread right throughout the world. Is a man that takes care of not only himself, but his family, is abiding by the law of the land, and, just trying to improve his environment rather than just take away from it.
So given that definition, right, there are a lot of young men today that feel overwhelmed, cost of living, unemployment, housing, relationships. Do you think men today are under more pressure than before, or just less prepared for it?
Less prepared. It's not more pressure than before.
Why less prepared?
We can make money off the internet. We don't have to do manual labor. I keep hearing this thing, no job now, they have like 4 jobs. There's no excuse. What I find is a lot of men today are very lazy, and they have a Cinderella or a Snow White syndrome. They're waiting for somebody to come and save them. I don't know why they develop that kind of mentality, but for most of the men I know that are actively going after life, they're quite fine. They're tired, not broke.
Tired, not broke. Yeah. I love that. One of your videos I've seen online, you spoke about if a man doesn't have certain things by a certain age, he's a joker.
Bum,
yes, right? Bum, you said, yeah. Tell me about that. What should a man have by what age?
All right, look. So I'm gonna say I'm extraordinary, right?
All right.
So I started college late. I graduated at about 26, and by 26 I had my life together, and I started late. But I'm gonna say I'm extraordinary, right? I put it to 30. If you still have to ask mommy for your money at 30, you're a bum. If you cannot stand up on your own 2 feet financially, emotionally, and take on even the responsibility of a family by age 30, when will you be ready? We keep making excuses. 30 is still young, it's still young. No. We have to draw a line in the sand and say, look here, if you are not, if you don't have these characteristics by this age, you have failed. So for me, I think 30 is even too old, because most of our parents by 25, they had started families, and they were taking on all the bills of adults. At 30 is a very, very generous age for a man to get all his stuff together.
Well, that's a very strong statement to make, right? Because you say if they don't achieve that by that age, they're a bum.
Bum, man, bum.
But how do we account for somebody who's starting off from like a different, social class or maybe
I'm very happy you went there. One of my close friends, he was brought up in the foster system.
Mm-hmm.
He's light years ahead of me. He was brought up he's a little older, but he was brought up in the foster system. But he decided that, look, I'm not going to let my environment determine or dictate where I go in life. So I don't take that as an excuse. Like, the crazy thing with social media is everybody go on those apps to kiki. I follow people that can inspire. People I can look at and say, I like what he's doing with his life. I mean, it's not as exciting as watching these comedic skits, but I'm following things that can educate me. I want my life to be here, so I'm following other investors. I don't have time to just be kiki, and I enjoy the funny videos just like anybody else.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're in a stage of life where I don't have to know a rich man personally to get the benefits. Look, I do a segment on my page called Money Mondays, where I give financial advice and tips, right? Before I did the 4 dates per year video, Money Mondays was the worst viewed thing on my page. I have a couple thousand followers on Money Mondays, I get like 50 likes. You get me? It just goes to show that a lot of times when the educational stuff come out, we shun it. We don't welcome it. We don't support it.
Right.
But the controversy, we're all into it. As I say, now Money Monday is getting a lot more buzz since that video. But before it was struggling. And I just kept on doing it because I'm saying, look, this is going to be my contribution to society. I give simple financial tips. I'm not going in any stocks and any bonds. I'm giving simple financial tips that the average man can use to improve his life.
So let me ask you a question then, right? What do you think is missing from how we educate maybe our young boys that is then resulting in, as you said earlier, they said that they're a bit more lazy or they might bum if they reach XYZ by 30. What do you think we're missing in terms of how we raise our boys?
I don't think we're teaching our young boys the true extent of the responsibility that they'll take on later in life. That you are supposed to be able to take care of a family one day. And the family is going to keep growing because you take care of wife and kids. As your parents get older, you're expected to extend your resources to cover them. We're not teaching the boys that, look, the responsibility that you'll be carrying as a man is going to be heavy. And you're supposed to expect it and welcome it because is one of the responsibilities of being a man. So that is it. I don't even think our educational system helps either because we're teaching boys and girls basically the same thing in our school system. And I think at some point we need to separate them. Maybe not for all the classes, but at some point you need to separate them and teach them different things because different things are expected of boys and girls and men and women.
That's a really interesting point because I think you're highlighting that the level of responsibility that a man has to carry in his life, we need to be able to prepare him for that from years before that he expects it and welcomes it, like you said.
Yeah, because it's a lot to walk into. You don't want to turn a man and then realize that this is what I'm supposed to be really taking on. You want to be able to gear up your mind. And if you look at Asian civilization, most of their rituals of turning boys to men are from they were 13. So they are introducing the responsibility at a very tender age so they can really grow into it.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a break right now, but we will soon be back with more on this episode about looking at masculinity. Thanks so much. See you soon.
First of all, you cannot do this man thing, growing up thing without God. You have to include God in everything. When things get tough, we have to bustle and look up to the hills where we're coming here to. So have to talk about Christianity, and we have to include God in everything. But not only that, you have to. It's a must. to have a relationship with God. So, as a young man growing up, when you have those things, you can build your skills, you can build the wealth, and you can build a discipline. Because with God, all things are possible. And God never tell you for not stupid. You have to resist. You have to resist the females. Sometimes you have to lock in, be disciplined. I have to develop your skills to build wealth and to invest. Because as my father told me one time, Micah, increase the wealth and everything will follow.
I think a man is somebody who is strong, both physically, mentally, and is spiritually grounded. I think a man carries those characteristics. I feel like a man is somebody who is confident and carries himself befitting of a man.
Being a man, to me, is about being resilient in rising above challenges. Also, being a man is about being very self-aware of who you are, your emotions, and where you wish to be in life. Also, to add to that, I believe that being a man is about consistently striving towards excellence and to consistently strive towards being a better person. Being a man is about being able to forgive others and to forgive yourself. There are a lot of unrealistic expectations being placed on men. With the onset of social media, there's this growing idea that men should have a lot of money or should be financially stable from a very, very young age. And I believe that this is a fallacy. I believe that men should not be judged on the most expensive watches or who has the most expensive shoes or who drives the most expensive car. I wished women, understood a lot better is the fact that men are logical creatures and men approach relationships from a much more logical point of view. I view a relationship as being two halves, albeit a man and a woman, coming together to create the perfect whole.
One of the major misconceptions is that men aren't emotional beings as well. One, this has come from the stamina that society has placed on men regarding your mental health and stability. As a man growing up, you were told, if you fall, brush it off, man blow. But as a lady or a young girl, if you fell, they would say, everybody would rush to your aid and treat you like a dainty rose. What women need to understand is men are naturally locked away emotionally and mentally. So if a man opens up to you, you have really done your job. Two, men are also human beings with emotions. The only difference is that society would have told those men to suppress them and not show them, because showing emotion as a man is a sign of weakness.
Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. Now, we're having a very interesting conversation about masculinity and the experience that men are having here in Jamaica. I'm back with my guest, Courtney, who has been so popular on social media. And I think for this next segment, as we go into dating and relationships, you guys have seen so many videos, I'm sure, from Courtney. Now, my first question is about your most popular video, where you talk about how men are overgiving, they might invest too much in women before they even get commitment. So tell me about that issue and why you're against it.
All right, so I'm all about male development, and we can't develop as men without our resources. Mm-hmm. Now, I work one cubicle apart from Patsy. Why am I paying Patsy's rent? It leaves me now depleted of my resources. I can't go back to school because I'm taking on Patsy's rent. I can't invest in myself. While Patsy can go on to do her bachelor's or master's or doctor, because she has no rent. I'm taking care of all of her overheads, and I'm saying it is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. I don't know why a man would meet a woman and just decide to, look here, even though we're making the same amount of money, I'm going to cover your bills.
But you said earlier that men are supposed to be, providers.
Yes.
Taking care of the people around
most
them.
Definitely.
Why are you against it in this scenario?
In this scenario, she's not your wife. She's not your wife. She going to take your resources, and because she took your resources and leveled up herself, because women are hypergamous, There's no woman that is thinking, oh, I'm going to find a poor man and just level him up, No woman is thinking like that, She wants a man on her level or higher. So the minute you pump her up she's looking down on you. She says, why would I date this loser? I'm going to take my resources and go elsewhere. So now you're out of a woman and resources. I think that before the commitment comes into play, a man should use his resources to put himself in a position where he can maintain a wife and kids. You can't just be doing the providing prematurely, because if you do that, you won't be able to provide for long. So that's why I'm thoroughly against it.
Interesting. And you've said about, I think the video you said, 4 dates per
4
year,
dates.
max.
Yeah, man. Like, people say, oh my God. 4 dates out of 365. And I'm saying, no, it's not 4 dates out of 365. It's 4 dates out of 12 paychecks. Look at it that way.
Okay.
Most men, when them paycheck come after they take care of all of their responsibility, the paycheck is what we call dead. There's no savings left out of it. So you're going to have dead paychecks, and then you're going to have a few paychecks where you have a little wiggle room. Should I use all those paychecks to carry these Patsy out on dates? Absolutely not.
Poor Patsy, geez.
No.
But, clearly your videos have resonated, right, with some persons, and also caused a lot of uproar. Have you gotten support though? How are young men responding to you saying this?
Look here, when I meet some of these men in the street, I'm say, yo, me rate the video them, me know say them a burn bad fire for you, but go on with the faith. I mean, a lot of men won't say it out in the comments because them no want to get the label as cheap too. But I'll take the label. So I notice an increase in following, not from just young men, but sensible women too. You have women that don't mind the way I think and the way I operate, because they know that I'm not just doing this to be cheap.
Right.
All the time. I'm doing this so I can build a foundation, so I can take care of my family.
100%. And I mean, clearly the person who needs to understand and respect your teaching the most would be your wife, right? You're married.
Yeah.
What do you think, growing up, maybe the dating culture, what do you think was something you've learned now that you're married that wasn't working for you maybe before?
I wouldn't say working for me, but one thing I definitely came to the realization in marriage with is it is not successful unless one of you die. That's the only way to have a successful marriage.
Yeah, I forgot to explain that one.
Yeah, man, it's till death do you part. It's not a joke thing. You don't just come in and out frivolously. So when you're looking to get married, you can't be looking to get married for papers. You can't be looking to get married because your friends getting married. And you have some people that will say, me know it need not work out, but no, that's crazy talk. When you're getting married, it is until death do you part. Anything less than that, your marriage failed. So and that's a scary thing. Like, think about that, man. You're signing a contract that
for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man. Like, the only way it's going to be a successful contract is if one of you die or both. Yeah,
that's a very strong point.
Yeah, man.
Kind of building on that as well, what do you think women are misunderstanding about men in today's dating society?
It's just so much. From the simple things like men want to be acknowledged for the good that they're doing, and even though that men supposed to be providers and protectors, we do have limitations, right? So when we say we can't go out right now because we're trying to save for the future, we don't have infinite resources to be doing everything you want to do. So that's definitely a sore point where women think that because they want it, it should be able to happen, and it's just not so. And then when it does happen, for a lot of the guys, they quickly realize that women have short-term memory loss, or difficulty remembering events that happened a while back, because once you do something today, she's looking for something tomorrow. It's like yesterday didn't happen. So it tends to lack gratitude a lot of the times. Like, when you hear the stories, like, it doesn't matter what a man did for her last month or 2 months ago, let alone a year. So that's problematic. And a lot of times when these guys do crazy things. Like I always advise against sending women back to school and all of those things. But a man will be sending his girl back to school and he took a loan. So even though he did it last year, he's still paying for your school today. So for you to be just brushing it off like, oh, that's last year, it can be a little heartbreaking to a lot of the men out there to see that their efforts mean nothing down the road.
I think you're making a lot of interesting points, particularly because you're highlighting that there's this need for understanding, probably from both parties actually.
Yeah.
But recognizing that men are putting the effort in different ways. Not to don't undermine it. Not all. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So
not all, but when a man is trying, it's important to acknowledge that.
Yes,
and
most
recognize
definitely.
It. All right. Thank you very much, Courtney. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to a break and then we'll be back for our final segment. Stay with us. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. Now, we're wrapping up this conversation with Courtney about masculinity. And honestly, it's been so interesting so far because I think we're seeing some, recurring themes. But to close out the segment, I always want to make sure that it's, like positive and uplifting. And we're looking at how we empower our youth, in this context, or young men. So I want to know from you, if a man feels behind in life, whether financially, emotionally, etc., what do you think is the first honest step that he needs to take?
The first honest step is admitting that you're behind in life, because a lot of the men today make a lot of excuses. Oh, the system not set up right for prosper, The first thing is I'm in this position because of the actions that I took. No, I need to start looking at the people that are where I would like to be and start emulating some of the things that they did to get where they are at.
And you mentioned earlier that this is not something that, is hard to do. Like, it's so easy now to be on Google or YouTube and find persons.
Because you can, you don't have to physically be in the space of someone for them to impact you. Back in the day before social media, you'd have to actually make some form of relationship with men that are going places that you'd like to be. No, you can just follow them on Instagram.
True.
The Matalans, the Issas, you can follow them and see how they operate. Yeah, man.
And what do you think are some habits or mindsets that men should, take on as they try and have healthier relationships?
Yeah, we have. When we deal with women, we have to remember that that women are not necessarily logical individuals, and they're very emotional. We tend to try to fix everything when we hear problems, but sometimes women just want to vent. So it's about understanding the woman in front of you and making accommodations for her. So that's and if you realize that the concessions that you're making are too much, it's best to get out early before you get emotionally entwined. But if you see that these are compromises that you're willing to make, you make them and you move forward.
And before our audience comes for you for saying women are not logical, right? It's just saying that we're highlighting that women are...
Let them come. I'm not. It is as I said it.
Highlighting nonetheless, yes, women do have a greater affinity, let's say, for the emotional response.
Yes.
Sometimes, in some settings. Anyways, final message. A final thing for me, just what's your message to young men, who are watching this and trying to figure out, who they are, where they should go in life, trying to get back on track?
All right, so finding out who you are as a man is not as hard as it seems. I'd say just put aside an hour, half an hour a day to be alone. And that's without your phone, without any distractions. And you will slowly find out by taking that hour or a half an hour just to do things that you actually like. You'll realize that, I only like these songs because the man them like these songs. I only watch basketball because the man them watch basketball. So going into isolation for short periods at a time, it can actually introduce it to yourself, what you actually like. You realize that when I'm by myself, I don't like this music. So it means that you don't like it. So I'd say isolate yourself for short periods of time just to figure out what you really like, what comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about taking on a career path, you're going to want to do things that you love and things that come naturally to you. And sometimes the thing that comes naturally to you, that has to take precedence over what you love. And you go that path.
Wow, such important points I think you're bringing across, Courtney. And I think this conversation overall has been, very insightful, because we're seeing where, one, we started out in the first segment kind of looking at, what it means to be a man today and how we can better raise our boys by, teaching them and introducing them to the level of responsibility that they'll need to carry throughout life. And then we looked at relationships and the dating side, that interaction with women and how sometimes they say they kind of spend too much too early on before the commitment comes in. And now we're closing out with, this insight that young men can take forward, where it's like you really need to know who you are and what you like as an individual, as opposed to how men sometimes move in a pack and just kind of, the group think type of vibe. So thank you so much, Courtney. This has been a great episode. Thank you so much, viewers and listeners, for tuning in. This has been Common Ground. I'm your host, Daniel Mullings. See you next week.